Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again.
Number 50, Breaking Baitman, Arrested Development.
No problem. Just call up some of my friends.
What? What friends?
In a family full of dysfunctional members, Michael Bluth is the son who had no choice but to keep them all together. As the resident straight man, Jason Bateman had to keep himself together in the presence of such colorful characters. In Tobias's case, the color is blue.
Hey, Tobias, I was wondering if you are available tomorrow to go down to Mexico. I need 2 drivers.
Alas, I have 2 shows tomorrow, where I'm on standby for the Blue Man Group.
You don't need to be a therapist to see why Tobias's marriage to Lindsay is a failure.
I know you're the big marriage expert. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your wife is dead.
Tobias doesn't think Michael is one to judge, however. After all, his wife isn't even alive. It's one of the most insensitive things Tobias has ever said, which is saying a lot. Bateman does what he can to maintain a blank stare, but the line and delivery proves so jarring that a grin begins to crack.
I know you're the big marriage expert. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your wife is dead.
Number 49. Sean used to be cool, The Good Place.
I'm gonna go write an evil speech for when this is all over. It is gonna be so long.
Nobody plays a stick in the mud better than Mark Evan Jackson, and Sean may be the afterlife's muddiest stick. From the get-go, Sean is hell-bent on keeping our heroes in the bad place for an eternity of torture. Sean remains a roadblock well into the final season, making it all the more baffling when Manny Jacinto's Jason claims he used to be cool.
Sean, you used to be cool, but you've changed, man.
Jamila Jamil's Tahani seemingly makes a facepalm gesture, but in reality, this was likely to restrain another burst of laughter. This line required multiple takes as it repeatedly broke the cast. According to creator Michael Schur, they spent 3.5 minutes getting the giggles out. During one take, Ted Danson broke before even hearing the line, anticipating Jacinto's delivery.
None of this would have happened if you hadn't mucked.
What? The anticipation.
Number 48, Elevator, The Umbrella Academy. An elevator is among both the worst and funniest places to let one rip. This is reflected in the Umbrella Academy as the siblings cram into an elevator to meet their father. Tom Hopper's Luther is so nervous that he unleashes a silent yet potent fart. Luther's siblings react in a relatively grossed out manner, except one. David Castaneda's Diego lowers his head, making little attempt to hide his childish grin. While most of the cast singled this scene out as the funniest to shoot, Castaneda is the only actor who couldn't get through it without laughing. The take in the final episode was apparently the best. Considering that Diego's alias is number 2, it makes sense he'd be the most vulnerable to flatulence humor. Number 47, Driving Instructor, The Jamie Foxx Show.
Good afternoon, you maggots! My name is Sergeant Easy, and this is my house. You will speak only when spoken to. You will answer me by sir, yes sir.
Traffic school would surely be a lot more fun if Mr. Cooper were the instructor. Unfortunately for Jamie, he gets stuck with Sergeant Easy, another Mark Curry character. Sergeant Easy is anything but easygoing, running his class with the intensity and uniform of a drill sergeant. Every student in the room, especially Jamie Foxx, noticeably hides their internal chuckles behind expressions of terror.
I got a question over here. Who said that? Who said that? Boy, stand up, boy, when I'm talking to you. What is your name, boy?
My name is Jamie, bro.
Jamie!
A particular moment pushes everybody in Curry's vicinity over the edge. Charging to the front of the class to confront a student, Curry slips before pulling himself up on the desk. While Curry stays in character, Fox and several extras turn their heads. Consumed by laughter, Sergeant Easy breaks his students, just not in the way he intended.
Where you from, boy?
I'm from Terrell, Texas.
Terrell, Texas, huh? Only 2 things come from Terrell, Texas, little sissies and big sissies. Now, which one are you?
Hey, man, are you in Prozac?
Number 46, Dog Interrogation, Martin.
Now you're all probably wondering why I called you here.
Hell yeah, you dragged us out in the middle of a stormy night. What's wrong with you, fool? And why did you want us all in black?
I'm setting my scene.
Few sitcom ensembles are more infamous for breaking than the cast of Martin. A standout example finds Martin interrogating his friends, New Jack City style, believing one of them stole his CD Walkman. Did we mention this aired in 1994?
I know who stole my CD player. And the person's in this room right now.
Looking to make the guilty party talk, Martin sicks his watchdog on them. Since Martin doesn't have an actual dog though, he resorts to hurling around a stuffed one. Martin's friends are more annoyed than they are intimidated, although at least one of them finds this amusing. Thomas Michael Ford isn't prepared as Martin strolls around the table with the dog spontaneously barking. The most Ford can do to contain himself is not make eye contact with Martin. Even then, there's no use in hiding. Number 45, ESPN, Mean Girls.
I'm kind of psychic. I have a fifth sense.
Whether you've seen Mean Girls countless times or just once back in 2004, Amanda Seyfried's ESPN line has taken on a life of its own in pop culture. As quotable as this moment is, people tend to miss a swift yet significant break on Lindsay Lohan's behalf. After Karen mistakes ESPN for ESP, she tells Katie about her fifth sense. As Seyfried talks about her prognostic breast, a grin takes over Lohan's elated face.
It's like I have ESPN or something. My breasts can always tell when it's gonna rain. Really? That's amazing.
Cutting to the next shot, Katie suddenly goes from smiling to looking at Karen in confusion. Maybe it's because the audience is more focused on Seyfried, but you'd think more people would pick up on this inconsistency considering how many times they've rewatched the film.
Well, they can tell when it's raining.
Number 44, Frozen Grandparents, Weird Science.
This is a Pershing missile chip.
It's Chet. My name is Chet. And I didn't think it was a whale's dick, honey.
Chet is one of those jerky older brothers who we want to hate, but simply can't. The actors seem to share that sentiment, as Bill Paxton is among the few who doesn't break in this scene.
Hi, Nanny. Hi, Grampy. I'm not a moron, you know. Was that my grandparents?
Chet returns home to find a snowstorm in his room, a Pershing missile, and his grandparents catatonic in the closet. Grandma and Grandpa might not flinch, although pretty much every teenager in the room does, most notably Anthony Michael Hall and Ilan Mitchell Smith. In the story's context, you could argue that they're laughing about how obliviously stupid Chet is, but we all know their reactions are legit. Even when Chet gives his younger brother a painful wedgie, Paxton is only heard in Mitchell Smith with laughter.
Lady, I want to get to the bottom of this. ASAFP.
Oh, so do I.
But first, I'd like to butter your muffin.
Number 43, R.I.P. Livia, The Sopranos.
I suppose I should have just kept my mouth shut, like a mute.
Livia Soprano wasn't the most pleasant person in life. As Livia's family gathers following her funeral, the emotions in the air are mixed at best. Janice attempts to honor her mother by playing her favorite song, If I Loved You from Carousel. Michael Imperioli recalled the cast dying with laughter when the show tune played. In the final take, some actors stay uncomfortably composed, but not everyone gets through the scene laugh-free.
If I loved you, time and again I would try to say all I'd want to.
Drea De Matteo is the most prominent offender, although to be fair, Adriana got high with Christopher before the wake, so maybe that's why she's covering up a smile. In a way, Imperioli found laughter to be a fitting tribute to Livia and actress Nancy Marchand, because it showed, quote, she was so beloved.
Mrs. Soprano may have passed, but who's to say there isn't another Mrs. Soprano just like her, or will be? Maybe not with the same fears and paranoia, but the same.
Number 42, The Necklace, Pretty Woman.
Do I look okay?
Something's missing.
Pretty Woman has been cited as the film that turned Julia Roberts into America's sweetheart. If we had to pinpoint a specific moment that Roberts earned this title, it would be when Edward snaps a jury box on Vivian's hand, resulting in an infectious laugh.
I don't want you to get too excited. It's only on loan.
It's the sort of reaction that can't be bought or pre-planned. Since Roberts was showing up to the set in the mornings looking sleepy, director Gary Marshall suggested that Richard Gere slam the box shut to provide a jolt of energy. The box was soft and wouldn't hurt. Although it was merely intended as a practical joke, Robert's moment of shock and the ensuing unscripted laugh proved too irresistible to leave on the cutting room floor.
They really let you borrow this from the jewelry store?
I'm a very good customer.
If you were going to buy this, how much would it cost?
$250,000.
Number 41, Close Encounter, Saturday Night Live.
And how did the aliens return you all to Earth?
I was carried down gently. He's crying. I was carried down gently in a cradle of light, placed into a soft bed of wildflowers.
If there's one SNL host we love to watch break, it's Ryan Gosling. Breaking has been a staple of Gosling-centric sketches since his first Close Encounter. Gosling, Cicely Strong, and Kate McKinnon play a trio who make contact with aliens. Where Gosling and Strong are both in awe, McKinnon's Miss Rafferty makes her abduction sound like an intergalactic dumpster fire.
Meanwhile, I'm starting phase 2, which is me sitting on a stool while 40 gray aliens take turns gently batting my knockers around.
Bobby Moynihan and Aidy Bryant have a hard time staying in character as NSA agents, but Gosling is overcome with the most severe case of the sillies. Every time Gosling has returned for a Close Encounter sketch, McKinnon has seemingly gone out her way to break him. At this point, it's about as planned as unplanned laughter can get on live TV.
They're like, they're batting around. Like a cat. They're, you know, they're sniffing it.
Number 40, Stuttering Lawyer, My Cousin Vinny. My Cousin Vinny is perfectly cast across the board. A standout being Austin Pendleton as a stuttering public defender named John Gibbons. Possessing a real stutter, Pendleton was a friend of director Jonathan Lynn. Although Lynn knew the role was tailor-made for Pendleton, he underestimated just how funny the scene would be. Lynn usually sat by the camera. For Pendleton's big scene, Lynn had to hide behind the camera to conceal his laughter. The actors obviously couldn't do the same.
He didn't, kill anyone.
Although hidden in the background, Joe Pesci, Ralph Macchio, and Mitchell Whitfield can be spotted covering their giggling faces. Whitfield confessed in an interview, when he's stuttering and my shoulders are going up and down like I'm crying, I was laughing. I couldn't help it.
I get a little nervous.
A little nervous.
I'm getting better.
Number 39, Wash and Wear, The Proposal. The Proposal reminded audience what an invaluable comedic talent Sandra Bullock is. The rom-com was also a showcase for Oscar Nunez, who practically steals the show as Ramon. If the blooper reel is any indication, Bullock probably broke the most throughout shooting. One of her breaks even made it into the finished film with Nunez on the receiving end.
No, I'm fine, thank you very much.
Is that tradition?
Oh, but see, it's the texture. I'm not a fish person.
I like it.
Ramon won't take no for an answer while trying to serve Bullock's Margaret an appetizer, shoving it into her mouth. Margaret chews the fishy hors d'oeuvres for several uncomfortable seconds before spitting it on Ramon. Covering her mouth with a napkin, Margaret appears to be holding in her disgust. Based on Bullock's smile, though, she was clearly holding in her laughter as Nunez improvised this line.
So sorry. That's okay. It's wash and wear.
Number 38, An Eye for Comedy, Will and Grace. The season 8 premiere of Will and Grace kicked off with a live episode, which the cast performed twice for both coasts. Although much of the cast had done stage protections before, preserving a straight face on live television wasn't any less challenging. Deborah Messing and Sean Hayes sniggered the most throughout a conversation about cheating.
I've never cheated.
No.
The two go in and out of character leading up to the film's big reveal. One of Jack's eyebrows was burnt off. Messing tries to put on a horrified face while Hayes attempts to stay solemn. However, a chuckle fest is erupting within both of them. The laughter inevitably breaks free, although Messing is at least able to cover her mouth in hysterical horror. Number 37, Toe in a Bottle, Life. There's nothing funny about being wrongfully incarcerated, but when Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are amongst the prisoners, there are bound to be more laughs than anticipated. This scene demonstrates the commitment of both actors, as they not only have to wear heavy makeup, but they have to do so while standing barefoot on boxes of bottle. Both stay reserved until Lawrence's toe accidentally slips into a bottle, causing him to crack.
Oh, gee, damn, one of my toes in the bottle, damn it.
Lawrence's laughter proves infectious, getting to Murphy. Yet, both still carry on with the scene, which is made all the more impressive given their uncomfortable circumstances. This slip-up works well within the context of the movie, bringing levity to Ray and Claude's reconciliation after not speaking to each other for several years.
Ray, it sure is good talking to you again. Good talking to you, too.
Number 36. This impression is out of order. The Big Bang Theory. Simon Helberg is best known for playing Howard Wolowitz, but he possesses great range as an actor. His talents are reflected through this Big Bang Theory episode where he impersonates several household names, including Al Pacino. In a blooper, Helberg gets about halfway through his "And Justice for All" parody before losing it.
Organic fungus that looks suspiciously like Al Pacino rises from the forest floor.
Helberg would get through the scene for the finished take, although his co-stars showed no restraint. You can tell that the cast is genuinely cracking up over Helberg's spot-on impression. Kaylee Kuko most notably is seen turning her head to the side, seemingly addressing the crew off-camera as she laughs.
This whole apartment is playing D&D.
For a moment, this is essentially Helberg's one-man show, and the rest of the cast are part of the audience. Number 35, Morons, Blazing Saddles. For all of its over-the-top moments, Blazing Saddles does delve into the harsh reality of racism. For Mel Brooks, the most effective way to combat prejudice has always been to make him laugh. After Sheriff Bart is discriminated against, Jim attempts to cheer his friend up by epitomizing the townsfolk in one word.
Glad those fingers ain't loaded. Woo. Just like old times.
Actor Cleavon Little wasn't prepared for Gene Wilder's Morons punchline, resulting in a sincere reaction. Having just heard one of the ugliest words in the English language, Bart and the audience needed something to raise morale. Wilder's line does the trick, but it's Little's smile that brings a much-needed human element to the scene.
You know, morons.
It goes to show that even at his lowest point, Bart's spirit is still blazing. Number 34, The Great Herring War, The Golden Girls. As the girls contemplate whether to continue living together, Rose unintentionally unites them with her nonsensical tall tale of the Great Herring War. It's been rumored that Betty White improvised Rose's story, although script supervisor Isabel O'Mara would debunk this. Everything about the scene was scripted, including B. Arthur and Rue McClanahan's laughter.
Circus, a herring circus, sort of like SeaWorld, only smaller. Much, much smaller.
Although the script called for them to crack up at certain lines, many fans still argue just how much of the laughter was genuine. As Arthur and McClanahan hide their faces, it feels less like scripted laughter and more like the real deal.
Only once.
Maybe Arthur and McClanahan were just that convincing, or maybe this shows the lighthearted side of method acting. Either way, White is the only one with a straight face. Number 33, Pink in the Face, The Return of the Pink Panther. Peter Sellers, like Jacques Clouseau, was an unpredictable screen presence. Even if you knew that an over-the-top antic was coming, that didn't make the execution any less hilarious. For Catherine Schell, it was hard getting through the fourth Pink Panther film without snickering at Sellers' hijinks. Even before Jock introduced himself to Lady Claudine, Schell can't suppress her natural instinct to laugh.
Depends on your intentions.
Strictly honorable like an asteroid.
At times, Schell's constant smiling works well enough given the scene's flirtatious nature. On multiple occasions, though, Schell hides her laughter behind her hand or a glass. Other times, the filmmakers make no attempt to cover the laughter, just letting it slide. Perhaps they could have done more takes, but then the scene would have been robbed of its spontaneity.
It is looking good at you, kid.
Number 32, sitting on the toilet, Ocean's 12. Ocean's 12 is nobody's favorite entry in the heist series.
It's just wrong.
But we do get a memorable line here and there. A highlight comes when Elliot Gould's Ruben is banging on Frank's bathroom door. Scott Kahn's Turk points out how rude Ruben is being given Frank's awkward position. Ruben responds by painting Turk a disgusting portrait of what's going to happen to his feet if he doesn't get to the toilet soon. Before Gould is even done delivering the line, Kahn turns away with a grin on his face.
How do you think it feels when you're sitting down on the toilet and someone's banging on the door?
Well, I gotta sit down on the toilet, otherwise I'm gonna shit on your feet. Come on, Frank.
Rather than try to conceal this, the camera follows Kahn as he walks off to the side with his head turned. While the line itself is gold, Kahn's reaction was seemingly too priceless to tiptoe around. Number 31, food poisoning, Parks and Recreation. Sometimes, it's what you love the most that results in one's undoing. Such is the case with Ben Wyatt and calzones.
It was a calzone.
It was literally just a small calzone.
The Italian delicacy gives Ben, Ron, and Chris food poisoning to the point that they can barely move around the room. As Ben struggles to dial the phone on the floor, Chris leans into the shot with his face taking up much of the frame. Despite being on full display, the expression on Chris's face is often mistaken for agony. Upon further expression though, it's evident that actor Rob Lowe has a massive grin that he's trying to pass off as pain. Perhaps Lowe was in pain during this scene, but it likely had more to do with his funny bone than a stomach bug.
The calzones betrayed me? Never again, guys. As God is my witness, they're dead to me.
Number 30, Principal's Office. This is 40. As well written as Judd Apatow's comedies are, the funniest moments are often the ones delivered on the spot. The most rewatchable scene in This Is 40 finds Melissa McCarthy's Catherine ripping into Pete, Debbie, and Principal Jill. As McCarthy ad-libs insult after insult, Leslie Mann barely wrangles the smile stretching across her face.
This is why everybody hates you, Jill.
Only a few reaction shots made it into the finished scene, as Mann and Paul Rudd both broke down during McCarthy's stone-faced tirade. A longer version of the scene will be featured during the end credits where Mann and Rudd show no restraint.
Probably, I'm gonna start with Karen Carpenter's head. I'm gonna rip her head off, and I'm gonna drink her blood.
Even as the actors break down in tears, McCarthy just keeps going until she's out of creative profanity. Only then does someone say, cut. Number 29, Strip Club, That 70s Show. Here's another scene where the cameras just kept rolling, despite practically everyone on set going to pieces. Escorting Donna and Jackie to a strip club, Kitty gets a little too freaky with the talent. Actress Deborah Jo Rupp hadn't fully rehearsed her enthusiastic dance, catching Mila Kunis off guard. Kunis was broken to the point that she threw herself to the side. Although only Kunis' break made it into the episode, Laura Prepon, Luke Wilson, and the male stripper were all crumbling with the sillies. Rupp was the only one staying in character, waiting for someone off stage to finally put the scene to rest. The question is, who brings more energy to this scene? Kitty or the dedicated stripper doing one-arm push-ups?
I was dying laughing. I was gone. It took forever for me not to laugh.
Number 28, The Cowardly Lion. Oh my, The Wizard of Oz. When the Cowardly Lion roars onto the screen, Dorothy and her friends are initially startled. It doesn't take long for them to realize that the beast is about as ferocious as a domesticated kitten. Judy Garland is so unintimidated that she begins to break as the lion trembles in tears. After Dorothy assures the lion that he's not bleeding, Garland takes a brief pause with a grin creeping upon her face.
Well, of course not.
Garland does her best to mask the smile by lifting Toto up to her mouth. From there, Garland manages to shift back into character. Considering that an adult man in a lion suit was crying in front of her, it's amazing that Garland got through this scene with only a minor hiccup.
It's all right now. The wizard will fix everything.
Number 27, The Library Cop, Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld might be the most notorious breaker ever to headline a sitcom. On a good day, Seinfeld would get through a scene just grinning. In other cases, Seinfeld helplessly dissolved into giggles. According to Seinfeld, the hardest scene he ever had to shoot paired him with the late Philip Baker Hall as Lieutenant Bookman. Although Hall plays the character with the intensity of a Law and Order detective, Bookman is merely a library investigations officer.
You're a comedian. You make people laugh.
I try.
You think this is all a big joke, don't you?
Bookman's serious demeanor perfectly offsets Seinfeld's silly persona. Seinfeld found the scenario so humorous that they had to do 8 takes, stitching together any usable footage. Even in those clips, Seinfeld lets several smiles slip through as Bookman interrogates him with the conviction of a hardboiled Humphrey Bogart.
So that scene that you see is made up of about 8 different times we shot it, and we took the pieces that worked and put it together, because I messed that one up a ton.
Number 26, Tight-Lipped Jim, The Office. Like Seinfeld, John Krasinski was infamous for breaking on The Office, with Steve Carell usually at the root of his chuckles. Whenever an episode paired Michael and Jim, you can expect Krasinski to become silly putty in Carell's hand. The episode The Secret is one example. Michael strives to bond with Jim at the soda machine, having learned about his crush on Pam. Krasinski seems to get through the scene fine, but that's only because of the editor.
I'm gonna take off, actually.
All right, well, cool.
According to Jenna Fisher, Krasinski could not stop laughing throughout the scene. The editor could only do so much to hide another Krasinski break at the office supply station. As Angela Kinsey puts it, when Krasinski loses it, his whole body collapses. He just becomes a noodle.
Fact, you are drinking grape soda. You never drink grape soda. Fact, you are talking to Jim. You never talk to Jim.
Number 25, Matt Foley, Saturday Night Live. SNL has given us no shortage of classic breaks across its nearly 50-year history. Matt Foley provided the ultimate endurance test whenever he stormed into Studio 8H. The legendary Chris Farley donned the thick glasses and undersized jacket for the first time in 1993.
See me, I'm hiding behind my hair because I knew that if I looked at him for 1 second more, I was gonna drop off that couch.
Comedy history was made, as evidenced by the cast doing everything in their power not to laugh at Farley's intense delivery and over-the-top gestures. David Spade and Christina Applegate are seemingly the sketch's most prominent breakers, although Julia Sweeney was cracking up so much that the camera had to work around her. Sweeney recalls, "It was like I had the best seat in the house for the funniest freaking thing that was happening on the planet."
Now you kids are probably asking yourselves, hey Matt, how can we get back on the right track?
Number 24, Nip It, The Andy Griffith Show. When you're a seasoned comedy star like Don Knotts, how many times can it take to get a scene right? 5? 10 at most? Try about 20. Specifically this scene from Guest of Honor.
I had to do more than 20 takes because every time I looked at him, I broke out laughing.
Barney Fife isn't the most intimidating officer. He's an even less threatening drill sergeant. But Barney isn't messing around as he grills 3 new deputies. As authoritative as Barney comes off, Knotts was anything but disciplined on set. He couldn't stop laughing thanks to Floyd Lawson, who continually got him with the line, "Nip it."
Nip it in the bud! Nip it! Let's hear it! Nip it!
Knotts eventually eked through the scene, but in the finished version, Griffith is seen covering his gaping grin. Maybe they could have done another take, but after a while, you've got to nip it in the bud. Number 23, The Dentist, The Carol Burnett Show. Harvey Korman might have racked up the most breaks on The Carol Burnett Show, with Tim Conway typically to blame. Conway once said, "My object was to find places in the sketch where I knew I could break up Harvey. I don't think I ever missed." Nowhere was this more apparent than in the dentist sketch where Korman plays Conway's unsuspecting patient.
Yeah, I'll be right with you.
Korman does his darnest to pass off his stifled laughter as physical pain. The longer the sketch goes on though, the more cracks begin to surface. Korman wasn't prepared for the Novocaine portion of the sketch, which is where the hysterics completely take over. Conway claims that Korman was laughing so hard that he wet himself. And this was all done without nitrous oxide.
He did. He actually wet his pants. So,
He wet his pants?
Yes, laughing.
Number 22, biggest. Can we still say that on YouTube? Monty Python's Life of Brian. Michael Palin graduated from Oxford, was knighted by Prince William, and served as a commander of the Order of the British Empire. He's also uttered what might be the most hilarious juvenile name in cinema.
What's funny about Dickus Dickus?
Reflecting on Life of Brian, Palin said that the Pontius Pilate scene was the hardest to shoot because it had to be structured around continuous suppressed laughter. As legend goes, the soldiers were told to keep a straight face, but they were supposedly unprepared for the laugh riot that Palin was about to trigger. Palin gets through most of the scene with unbelievable composure, but even he can't help himself upon coming face to face with Chris Langham. Palin's smile isn't as big as Langham's, but the name finally gets to him.
When I say the name, because
Number 21, grabbing the bags, Young Frankenstein. Part of what makes Gene Wilder's performance as Young Frankenstein so great is how seriously he approaches the role. As refined as Wilder can appear as Dr. Frankenstein, he broke so many times that it wasn't uncommon for the crew to do around 15 takes before getting a scene right. The arrival of Madeline Kahn's Elizabeth resulted in one of the funniest and most stressful shoots.
Stop that. I'm talking about the luggage.
The scene itself isn't very long, but it would take up a good portion of the blooper reel. Wilder naturally broke the most frequently, which rubs off on Kahn, Terry Garr, and Marty Feldman. They eventually got a take that Mel Brooks was satisfied with.
Stop that! Now just stop that! Drop it!
All right, that's good. I can use it up.
Even then, Wilder is visibly smiling as Igor bites and barks at Kahn.
Number 20, son of a supernatural.
You know the thing's cursed, don't you?
You'd be surprised what some people would pay for something like that.
Really?
It may be a supernatural drama, but this series sometimes catches the audience off guard with its sense of humor. Jared Padalecki was also caught off guard when co-star Jensen Ackles delivered this inspired bit of improv. Just as Sam and Dean's luck starts to turn around, they find that their winning tickets have been stolen by Bella. According to Padalecki, the scene was supposed to simply end with the brothers watching Bella drive off. Ackles decided to add a little something extra, however, unleashing an unscripted outburst.
Son of a bitch!
Although Padalecki does his best to hide his reaction, you can still spot him licking his lips and cracking a grin before turning his head away from the camera.
Number 19, the most annoying sound in the world, Dumb and Dumber.
We usually don't pick up hitchhikers, but I'm gonna go with my instinct on this one. Saddle up, partner.
Some of the best bits from Dumb and Dumber were improvised, and this scene is perhaps the most ingenious. Stuck in the middle of Harry and Lloyd's juvenile antics, henchman Mental tries to keep his hostile tendencies under control. Just as tensions begin to dwindle down, Jim Carrey randomly segues into making the most annoying sound in the world.
Hey, wanna hear the most annoying sound in the world?
The camera cuts to Mental's frustrated expression so quickly that most viewers miss Jeff Daniels biting his lips while trying to restrain his laughter. Clearly, he had no idea what was coming. The film's trailer actually gives us a longer look at Daniels' reaction as he slowly collects himself and gets in on the screaming match.
Number 18, Ice Cream, The Ringer.
Maybe I should just accept the fact that I can't win. Stop lying to Lynn and everybody else.
Arguably the funniest moment from this comedy was ad-libbed, which seems to be a recurring theme for this list. The film centers on a man who pretends to be mentally challenged in order to compete in the Special Olympics, and eventually befriends his fellow contenders. After the guys stay out past their curfew, the person responsible for them cooks up an excuse about getting ice cream. Glenn blows their cover though, when he lets out this hilarious line.
You stopped off for ice cream. When the f did we get ice cream?
The delivery is also pitch perfect, as Glenn sounds genuinely confused and irritated over the lack of ice cream. It's so hysterical that star Johnny Knoxville visually breaks out in laughter before the camera cuts back to Katherine Heigl.
Did you get ice cream?
Number 17, the gang loses it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry! I forgot to put a TV! All right.
It's Always Sunny has a plethora of priceless outtakes, but sometimes you can catch the cast-breaking character in the final product. While there are too many instances to single out just one, creator and star Rob McElhenney is perhaps the most susceptible to cracking up.
I had him in the palm of my hand and then he was gone, you know what I mean? I mean, this guy would have been perfect for you.
Co-star Charlie Day has also struggled to maintain a straight face on occasion, although he usually tries to hide his giggles from the camera. We especially love this scene where the gang drowns their sorrows huffing a jug of gasoline. Don't try this at home. And Caitlin Olsen says the most childishly brilliant line imaginable.
Pass it.
Pass the gas.
None of the actors are able to keep it together, and we don't blame them.
Number 16, Hello Clarice, the cable guy.
Let the games begin!
Jim Carrey strikes again on our countdown with yet another improvised scene. Weirdly enough, this moment also involves a chicken. At a medieval restaurant, the cable guy sits down to a meal with his new best friend Steven.
Can I have your skin?
Sure.
Since Steven isn't going to eat his chicken skin, the cable guy seizes the opportunity to play with his food. Co-star Matthew Broderick is completely unprepared as Carrey drapes his face with the skin and reenacts a scene from The Silence of the Lambs.
Hello, Clarice. It's good to see you again.
As is the case with much of the film, the audience isn't sure whether to laugh or be disturbed. It obviously tickled Broderick's funny bone, however, as he can't conceal his grin.
Number 15, I hated the Colonel, so I married an axe murderer.
This black comedy isn't one of Mike Myers' more popular outings, but it does have a Scottish character who is basically a predecessor to Shrek and Fat Bastard.
Would you like some chicken? I've got more.
So whenever the film shifts focus to Stuart Mackenzie, played by Myers in a dual role, the results are always comedic gold. Stuart is a loudmouth conspiracy nut who believes Colonel Sanders was part of an all-powerful secret organization that controls the world. He also insists the Colonel sneaks an addictive chemical into his chicken.
Dad, how can you hate the Colonel?
Because he puts an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly, smart-arse!
As Stuart goes off on this insane tirade, actor Anthony LaPaglia does his best to sip his beer and nod along, but just can't hold back his ungovernable smirk.
Oh, I hated the Colonel with his wee beady eyes and that smug look on his face. Oh, you're gonna buy my chicken, oh!
Number 14, Leather Pants, Third Rock from the Sun.
Hello, oh my God!
Having spent several seasons on SNL, Jane Curtin knows how to keep her cool under the funniest of circumstances. Even she couldn't stay composed in this priceless Third Rock from the Sun scene, though. To complete his gorgeous new look, Dick squeezes himself into a pair of leather pants. The squeaking of the trousers is already enough to push Curtin to the verge of giggling.
What was that?
What?
When John Lithgow gets up and starts walking around, Curtin can no longer keep her snickers under wraps.
What did Laurie say when you talked to her?
The moment proves so humorous that the camera cuts away as Curtin struggles to deliver her next line. Then, as Lithgow exits the room, she totally gives in to the hilarity.
Number 13, Roman's forehead, Fast and Furious 6.
We building the car?
First car better be a Charger, Jack.
You mean Skyline?
The Fast and Furious movies might not have the most complex characters, but nobody can deny that the chemistry between the cast is nothing short of phenomenal. It's always a blast watching these actors work off of each other, particularly in this scene. At a barbecue, Roman makes a crack about the macho Hobbs requiring baby oil. Dwayne Johnson retaliates with an unscripted comeback about Roman's large forehead.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil. I'm just playing.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
I was just joking.
Where Tyrese Gibson manages to stay in character, Chris Ludacris Bridges is unable to keep his drink down. We honestly never expected to see Ludacris do a spit take, but that's exactly why this moment is such a happy accident.
Number 12, Super Cops, Beverly Hills Cop.
I did not know what was going on. I was watching the show having fun.
The success of this buddy cop comedy can largely be attributed to Eddie Murphy and his co-stars, who ad-libbed some of the film's funniest lines. Apparently, numerous takes were ruined because the cast and crew couldn't contain themselves. Murphy reportedly took his first sip of coffee ever before shooting this improvised scene. That would certainly explain why Axel Foley sounds so energized as he covers for detectives Rosewood and Taggart. Foley crafts a phony story that paints his fellow officers as super cops.
I don't know what you teach these fellows, but they're not just regular cops, okay? They're super cops.
Actor John Ashton begins to unravel after a while, pinching and lowering his face to keep his chuckles inside. Fortunately, he's able to control his emotions enough to scarcely get through the scene.
Number 11, UFO speech, Easy Rider. While filming the campfire scene in Easy Rider, it was reported that actor Dennis Hopper had attempted to get co-star Jack Nicholson stoned. It becomes evident that Hopper most likely accomplished his goal when, during George Hansen's UFO speech, Nicholson suddenly bursts out into laughter.
Now, the result of this has been that the Venusians have contacted people at all walks of life. All walks of life.
Although it looks as though they kept the cameras rolling, the scene actually continues on the next take. Considering the fact that Nicholson was reciting a seemingly absurd speech about aliens, will give him a pass for not keeping a straight face. Number 10, Hotel Bellboy, Transylvania 65000.
You want cream?
Before his sitcom tenure, Michael Richards was playing the oddest oddballs you could imagine.
The smell is good. I can smell it. It's fresh.
In this Draculenstein farce, Richard plays Fejos, a butler whose hijinks weird out hotel guests but crack up actors.
This good, this nice.
Richards improvised parts of his role using puppets, banana peels, and other props of his own accord to get laughs out of his on-screen associates, especially Jeff Goldblum. Things aren't always as they seem in Transylvania, so who's really pulling whose leg?
You're going to... Just a little bit. Do it again.
Number 9, Meeting Frank the Pug, Men in Black.
Now that's the worst disguise ever. That guy's definitely an alien.
In this classic sci-fi comedy, Agents K and J, played by Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones respectively, meet Frank, an alien informant disguised as a pug.
What do you know?
I know nothing.
Not a thing.
Okay.
While interrogating Frank, who is in fact played by a real, trained, adorable dog named Mushu, Jones becomes self-aware and cracks a big one. It's a cinematic moment that proves even the most veteran actors can't hold themselves together when they're talking to a dog.
You don't like it? You can kiss my furry little butt.
Number 8, Warming Up, Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues.
Have a great broadcast.
You too, darling.
In the first scene of Ron Burgundy's second big screen feature, a newscaster husband and wife team, played by Will Ferrell and Christina Applegate, practice their diction and scales before delivering the night's top stories.
They're coming in through the back door!
Meanwhile, Ferrell takes comedy to the next level, and octave.
Grab the children! Save the children!
While trying to warm up, Applegate gets helplessly distracted by Ferrell's uproarious preparation method and cracks a few smiles between her ooze and Corning stones. Believe it or not, this was the most serious take they got.
Grab the children! Save the children!
You.
Number 7, The Waxing, The 40-Year-Old Virgin. In an effort to be more attractive to the ladies, Steve Carell goes for a chest waxing at his friend's suggestion. For this scene, Carell volunteered to actually have his bare chest bare waxed, ignorant of how insanely painful it would be.
Oh, you! Oh, I'm sorry. That's just your job.
By his natural reaction to scream out whatever random thought entered his mind, we can tell it hurt a lot. His co-worker buddies, played by Paul Rudd, Seth Rogen, and Romany Malco, as well as the waxing lady, forego their directions to pity him and instead laugh at his agony.
You shouldn't! Oh, I hate you so much. That one hurt. That one hurt just as much as the first one.
Number 6, Toilet Humor, American Pie.
Hey, Kevin. You seen Shipwreck lately? Why? What did you do to him?
High school senior Finch, played by Eddie K. Thomas, has a crippling fear of going number 2 on school grounds.
I don't think he's gonna have a problem shitting in school anymore. Slipped a little something into his mochaccino.
His rival, Stifler, pranks him by slipping an ungodly amount of laxatives into his mochaccino.
Oh, God.
You can see where this is going. In this paragon of toilet humor, Finch spends the next few minutes soiling his own reputation, as everyone can hear his moans and groans from outside.
Joni, was that you?
Can't hold it.
Towards the end, Thomas slips out of character, acknowledging the scene's absurdity, and gives us a small, knowing smirk. Number 5, The Younglings, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Not even the younglings survived.
In any given film, not every written line is perfect.
Padme, Anakin has turned to the dark side.
That rule goes for Episode 3 of the Star Wars trilogy, in which Anakin Skywalker breaks bad and becomes Darth Vader. Ewan McGregor, who plays Anakin's once mentor Obi-Wan Kenobi, gets the honor of delivering one such imperfect line, informing Padme of Anakin's descent into darkness.
I have seen a security hologram of him killing younglings.
McGregor takes a moment to finish the awkward, melodramatic line and covers his mouth as if to keep from smiling. Hey, whatever gets us to the next fight scene.
He couldn't.
He was deceived by a lie. We all were.
Number 4, Dr. Strangelove's out-of-control arm, Dr. Strangelove.
Radioactivity would never penetrate a mine some thousands of feet deep.
There are mad scientists who can't control their arms, and then there are actors who can't control their expressions. During one of the funniest scenes in Stanley Kubrick's Cold War satire, former Nazi scientist Dr. Strangelove, played by a brilliant Peter Sellers, struggles to manage a right arm that still compulsively hails his Führer. Standing right behind him is Peter Bull, who drops a nice big grin as Sellers' farcical performance might cause anyone to do. Number 3, Ross plays the bagpipes, Friends. David Schwimmer is known for some hilarious antics as Ross on the sitcom Friends.
Unbelievable. Why is your family Scottish?
Why is your family Ross?
In this classic bit, he whips out his bagpipe and plays his best rendition of Celebration.
Okay, now, remember, I'm still learning.
Schwimmer's novice playing is supposed to make his friends uncomfortable, but as Lisa Kudrow joins him with what she believes are the lyrics, Jennifer Aniston gives up and hides her amusement behind her hands. As shown by the outtakes, it was a miracle to get any of the friends to keep a straight face in this scene. Number 2, Lineup, The Usual Suspects.
All right, you all know the drill. When your number is called, step forward and repeat the phrase you've been given. Understand?
In this classic crime mystery, the usual suspects are lined up and asked to read a line, then crack up at Stephen Baldwin and Benicio del Toro's mocking interpretations, and especially del Toro's uncontrollable bout of flatulence.
How many is you cocksucker? What the?
Scripted as a serious scene, director Bryan Singer spent a whole day filming the lineup, becoming frustrated when the actors continually lost self-control. Eventually, he scrapped his original plan and used the funniest takes instead. We couldn't be happier that he did. Number 1, She Used to Fart in Her Sleep, Good Will Hunting.
But I think that's a super philosophy, Will. That way you can go through your entire life without ever having to really know anybody.
Even in dramatic roles, Robin Williams couldn't hold himself back from seizing an opportunity for hilarious improvisation.
My wife used to fart when she was nervous.
During a short respite in this scene between Williams, playing a therapist, and Matt Damon as his stubborn patient, Williams catches Damon completely off guard with an inventive anecdote about romance and flatulence.
You know, she used to fart in her sleep. I'm sorry I shared that with you. One night it was so loud it woke the dog up.
The scene is a standout of organic and revealing laughter by two actors in modern cinema that only an actor like Robin Williams could bring out.
She woke up and got like, oh, was that you? See, I didn't have the heart to tell her.
Yes, organic and revealing is referring to Damon's pig squeal.
Oh, Christ.
Are there any other breaks we missed? Let us know in the comments.
You two really don't know that you look like Beavis and Butthead.
I've heard rumblings.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.